Hi, I'm Jill from June Taylor with another innovative solution. Did you ever want to join your quilt blocks that are made Quilt As You Go? Now we have a perfect way to do that with our Sash and a Dash. It's pre-sewn sashing. It's sold by the yard in 7 colors with matching binding. Open the casing and nest your quilt block inside the casing. And then we're just going to run a top stitch down the edge. Take your next block, open the casing, and just do the same thing. To join rows, we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to run our Sash and a Dash across the row. You can run a beautiful embroidery stitch down here to embellish Sash and a Dash, or you can even put a strip of fabric down here. Here's an example where we added a fabric strip by folding under raw edges and top stitching over Sash and a Dash. And if you like to make t-shirt quilts, go ahead and quilt your blocks and then join them with Sash and a Dash.
Ahoy, quilters! The Go Lighthouse die is ready to guide you to your next quilting project. This nautical applique die is on a 6x12 die board, which means it will work with any Go cutter, including the Go Me. It features 9 unique shapes that together will make a 3¼ by 8-inch lighthouse. You'll soon be creating fun coastal projects like table runners and throw quilts with ease. Bring a touch of the sea to kitchen projects like tea towels and oven mitts, or whip up some classic bibs to keep those little ones ship-shape. Free downloadable outline embroidery in your choice of a satin, blanket, or motif stitches provides extra value and gives your project a professional finish. Let your imagination set sail when you combine the Go Lighthouse with the Go Nautical Medley and the Go Sea Life Medley for plenty of beachy fun. You can also cut materials like cardstock, felt, and craft foam to create no-sew projects and crafts with the ease of an ocean breeze. So sit back and relax. The Go Lighthouse is here to lead you to quilting and crafting bliss. Because at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt and craft more. Quilters, today's show is all about sewing the last 4 blocks for this AQS AccuQuilt-Along.
Stay tuned and sew along with us today.
Hi Quilters, I'm Pam Heller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert.
And I'm Erica Botker, AccuQuilt's creativity expert.
All right, we are moving right along, Erica.
That's right, we are.
Welcome to part 3 of the Go Carolina In My Mind AQS AccuQuilt-Along. Today, we're going to show you how to sew the rest of the blocks needed for this project.
That's right. We're going to go block by block, so don't anybody worry. We're going to give you tips and tricks to help you navigate your way through this project. Remember, this event is recorded, so you can always go back and rewatch, rewind, pause when you need to. You'll find it. You're going to tell us where.
Yeah, you're going to find it on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our website. All of our live shows live there. Now, speaking of Facebook, be sure and join the AQS Project Parade Facebook page and post pictures of your fabrics, the blocks that you're making. We're seeing so many fun blocks.
Yes.
Now, Eric and I are also posting pics of our blocks and our fabric, and that's where we want you to post any questions that you might have. We have so much to sew. Normally, we do a question and answer series. But we have so much to sew that if you put those in there, then Eric and I can go through and answer those questions along with other quilters.
Right. Now, if you've got general questions like where can I find the pattern, what dye is that, go ahead, ask that. Our team is moderating, they can ask those. But if you've got specific project questions, go ahead, pop them into that Facebook group. We're going to get those answered for you. Now, in case you missed it, we started way back in July with an introduction on the end of one of Pam's AccuQuilt Live Wednesday shows.
July 24th.
July 24th, we talked about the pattern, we talked about the North Carolina star die and using that along with the Go Mix and Match 5-inch cube. But if you go back to the blog from that day, you're also going to see traditional rotary cutting directions and templates. We've also gone through our first show, which was tips for cutting and organizing your pieces. We've talked about different variations, and we have used fat quarters.
Right.
We bought yardage, we divided it up between us into fat quarters, but this project is great for busting through your scraps as well.
And I'm going to really emphasize that being organized to do this project will make it so much easier. So if you haven't seen those shows, be sure and go back and watch them. Then last week we showed you how to sew the center units. Remember, all 12 blocks have the same center units. We talked about cornerstones. What do you call those on the other side of the cornerstone?
The border end pieces.
There we go. And we also showed you how to sew together the North Carolina star block.
Now, again, it's beneficial to watch those shows before you get started if you're just now finding us and wanting to join in with making the Go North Carolina In My Mind quilt. This is a great pattern. It's designed by Laura Strickland of Orange Blossom Quilts. And you can check out all of those videos again on AccuQuilt's video gallery, our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. You'll also want to have a copy of your pattern handy as we move forward. And at the end of the pattern, so when you go on and you download that free pattern off of AccuQuilt.com, you're going to get some great additional reference tools. And those are going to be those color reference sheets, those cutting sheets. You want to have those. And then Pam was showing you, she's waving it around. We went through and did the absolute best thing ever. And we took little snippets of our fabric, the selvage edge, and taped them into our pattern so that we could keep track of all of our different colors. It's a great tip. Now, once you've made your Go North Carolina star blocks, you're going to notice the rest of the blocks, as Pam said earlier, are in pairs, but in different colorways.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
I will get up.
Go to block 1. And there is a diagram towards the back of the pattern that will have the blocks numbered. If you get confused, just refer back to that.
This one is starting on page 13.
So this is block 1.
So this is important, and then block 3, 6, 9.
Yes.
Okay? Is that the same? Yeah, it
Yes.
is. Okay. So block 1 and 9 are the exact same blocks, except for the background.
Right.
So when you're working on this project, you want to make these two blocks at the same time. Okay? Block 1 and 9, because you're going to use all the same pieces except the background color. This is like a lilac color, and this
Let's
is
see,
pink.
I think technically they are,
Oh, tell us.
let's see. Well, I don't remember, I'm on the wrong page.
Pink and something.
Pink and, okay, I've completely lost it.
Oh,
But
it's-
yes, it's like pink and lavender.
Yeah,
Or periwinkle
bluish.
or something.
I think it's called periwinkle.
I think so.
Okay.
It'll tell you in your pattern.
So we're gonna make. We've already started to sew together block 9. Okay.
Right.
So remember, when you're doing this, look in the pattern and go, oh, 1 and 9 are the same, and 3 and 8 are the same. They're going to be the exact same blocks, just different backgrounds.
So what we're basically doing, just to break it down for you, is that each one of these blocks now that we're making today is composed of 4 units. Each one of those units, though, is a mix and match block that we've made using our Go Cube 5-inch finished block. And that is key. So these are just different mix and match blocks that we can make with our Go Cube. So if you want to substitute different blocks, this is the broken dishes block from the mix and match 72 block.
Right.
That's a free download. It talks about it in your pattern as well.
Right.
Then you can do that. You can substitute any 5-inch block for you. We are going to be following the pattern just to make life a little simpler for everybody.
We are. So Erica, let's break down this block.
Okay.
This unit. All right. So this, as you said, this is broken dishes. So it's going to use 4 sets of flying geese.
Yes.
Shapes 4 and 5 in every cube make flying geese. So I have my last section of flying geese to sew.
Okay.
And then, what shape is this, Erica?
This is our square on point. And in the pattern, our one variation with the fabrics in the pattern is that instead of the Essex linen rainbow sparkle, we are using a chartreuse tulip pink fairy dust because it has a rainbow, it has like all the bright colors in this quilt in the print. And so that's what we're using. That's what you're gonna see in the center of ours. That's why ours is that chartreuse color. It's gonna read as kind of a gray in the quilt on the wall behind us and in your pattern.
And then Erica, do you want to point on your finished block? The center sections of every 12 blocks are the exact same.
That's right. So these, here, I'm gonna get my arm over here. This solid block, and then, here, I'll turn it so it's the same way as this one. And then these 4 quarter square units that are made from shape E on the North Carolina star die, these are all the same.
Right.
The spikes are going to be different colors in each block. And you refer to your pattern. This is the red. We've got the ultraviolet over here.
That matches the periwinkle.
That matches. And then you've got white as the side unit. So this is our triangle in a rectangle, or I call them spikes over here. And in all of the blocks, these 4 quarter square units are going to be the same. They're going to be laying the same way in the same direction and in the same order.
Right. All right, so Erica, should we just show them real quick how to sew some of these units together as part of our block?
Sure.
So do you want to sew flying geese, talk about flying geese, or do you want to do square and a square?
I'm going to do square and a square.
Okay.
I'll let you do flying geese.
All right, so you want to talk about it first, and then
So
I will
here
start.
is our square on point. And what goes on the 4 sides is our number 5, or our small half square triangle. Now when you look at that, you think, oh, it doesn't fit, but it really does. We've done the math for you. So when you lay those pieces out, you are going to see just a little tiny bit of a corner sticking out. Nobody panic, because by the time we put on 2 opposite sides, when we go to sew the next ones on, wait till you see the magic. They're going to fit together perfectly. So I'm going to sew opposite sides on and then press towards the outside.
All right, so while Erica's doing that, I'm going to talk about these little corner half square triangles.
Oh yes,
Okay.
we need those too.
So this is shape number 5, small half square triangles. Notice we have it in our background color, and then our Essex color, which is the Tula pink. And I did it correctly on the other ones, just not on this one.
I'll use
When
mine
you're
like readers and
pressing-
enders.
Yes, when you're pressing your seams open, or when you're pressing your half square triangles, press towards the blue, because when we're pressing our half square, our flying geese units, Erica's going to talk about, if we press towards the blue, then when we line them up here to make our rows, those pieces are going to nest. But let's talk about square and a square. So square on point, this is actually a square. AccuQuilt did all the math. It's shape number 6. And to make it, you need to just use shape number 5 for all 5 sides. Now look, right here, there are 4 sides. Right here,
You know, I just
There-
told them how to do that, right?
yes, tiny little teeth, but for the square and a square. So don't panic about the tiny little teeth. They're like vampire teeth. They don't really count. I have to take off my shoes.
And she
Erica.
doesn't listen to me because I just told
I
you
was
that.
ironing.
She was
I was
pressing. She
ironing.
wasn't paying attention.
I was pressing.
So here's my first 2 on. And when I go to put my opposite sides on now, so look how those dog ears are going to lay out perfectly. It's hard to see because it's white, but they're going to fit in perfectly.
And Eric and I had this great little Liso irons, both of us do, and that's really going to be a helpful tool for you, because as you sit and sew, you don't want to have to get up to go to your ironing board.
You really don't. It doesn't
million
seem like a
times.
lot, but really, there's a lot of pieces. And this is one reason why when we had our first show for this, and we were talking about how to get started and organizing and all, we suggested that you use a little starch savvy on your
Yes.
fabric before you got started, because these are small pieces.
Right.
Okay, now I've got one side on, I'm ready to go on. Put this other side on. You know, in its heart of hearts, a square on point is just a square. It's the math that makes it work with that half square triangle.
Yes.
That's what makes it a square on.
And Eric and I did not do that math.
We did not.
Somebody who knew
We
how to
did
do
not.
that math did it. Because back in the day, Erica, would you not just, I don't know how
Oh,
I
I
made a
don't
square and a
either.
square.
So I got some flying geese started.
Okay.
And so this was, we said shape 4. This is shape 5. I've got one side on. I'm going to come back now and put the second side on here on the last couple ones.
And you and I pressed those differently.
I pressed my first one open and the second one to the corner.
Yeah, I just press them all to the corners. But that's okay.
I'm always looking for ways to have things be flatter.
Yes, stomachs, all the important things. I tell ya.
Oh,
All right.
I didn't know we were airing our dirty laundry on here,
Well,
Pam.
it's not a secret, so let's just say. All right, so I'm doing my flying geese as well. And remember, in every cube there's flying geese. You just need shape 4 and 5. They just come in different sizes, depending on the cube.
On the cube, that's right. And just pay attention again to your pattern. And if you went ahead and put together little block kits like we suggested when we were cutting and organizing, it's gonna make it super simple for you.
Yeah.
And we're just chain piecing along.
And that's one of the things you and I kind of talked about was what a great chain piecing block this was.
Now,
Is.
I've got some pressing to do, so I'm gonna finish my pressing. Now with the square on point, I press all of those towards the outside. It's gonna help you line up those dog ears really well.
Are you good there, Kenyon? Because I'm also going to press towards the outside here.
And I'll turn that one over so you can see it.
And broken dishes was a block we just used in our last Quilt-Along.
It was. It is a great, this version of Broken Dishes is our mix and match one. And it has the square on point in the center. I really enjoyed that last Quilt-Along so much. And I have my quilt finished and up, and it's just, oh, it just makes me happy when I see it.
There you go.
It's behind me right now for my background when we have meetings, because if I don't have a fun background, Pam gets bored.
Oh my gosh, I get so bored.
She makes me change
I'll
out my
send
quilts
little
behind me
pictures.
and everything.
Yeah, it's like, oh my goodness. Okay, so notice as I'm laying out my pieces, these blocks are all in the same order of which side the flying geese go that are colors. See, they're all the same. So I want to lay out my pieces so that they also are the same.
All right.
It looks scrappy. We talked about this last week.
It's kind of a planned scrappy,
It
I
is a
guess.
planned
And
scrappy.
that is not an easy way to write a pattern, I guess.
Build
for
a
lack of-
pattern,
Build a
something.
pattern, build a bear. Okay. So,
Okay. Here we go. And now I'm going to add these together. And when I lay them down, they're going to line right up perfectly because we've cut off the dog ears for you.
oh, well, there you go. Okay.
And don't forget that all of our shows are recorded. So if you're just sewing along with us, in a minute we're going to start on our next block.
That's right.
And you're going to say, wait.
But you can go back.
You can.
We got a lot of ground to cover.
We do.
You know, it's like heading off on vacation. My dad always wanted us out the door. We had a lot of ground to cover. He was a big one for getting out of the, head out the door early.
Ah, there we go. Are you an on-time early person or are you a late person?
Oh, I try very hard.
Yeah,
It just depends.
depends on what it is.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
The
now-
worst thing that can happen to me is having me think that I have a lot of extra time.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
That's gonna get me every time.
All right, quilters, and again, if you have questions,
Oh, dear.
just general questions like what kind
I
of
think I may have put this together.
cube we're
wrong.
using.
My
or-
thread. I came unthreaded again.
Wonder what's happening
I
over
don't know
there.
What's happening over here?
All right.
Okay, well, I thread my machine. Why don't you go ahead and
Yes. So
talk about
as I
putting this
press
together?
my rows, I've pressed out towards these half square triangles. Now I'm going to press in towards that square on point, and then my block will come together just perfectly.
And mine may not on camera because I thought I was
having-
sewing and I wasn't.
Oh, sometimes. It's when you run out of bobbin that it just sends me
that
over
sends
the edge.
me over the edge, yes. So I'm going to refer to this
Yep.
block over here for how I've got my square on point laid out. So here's my square on point. This goes over on the side. This goes down here.
All right, and Erica, why you sew this last broken dishes block, you just want to talk about making sure that the placement is fine following the,
Right. So let me re-sew something I thought I sewed at least once already. Maybe I'm cutting my thread too short. I don't know. Anyway, so take a look at how this goes together. we're gonna line up, when we're putting together, we've got basically 3 rows. We've got our top row that has 2 units with a spike unit in the middle. Our middle row is our spikes
Well,
and
now
our
my
solid.
thread just broke.
Our solid square, and then down below, we're gonna have another unit, another spike unit that I'm gonna sew together, and our other unit. Now, Pam called in a panic because she said, but it doesn't line up.
That's important to know
And
here.
she was concerned because this center lines up perfectly, but this seam, I don't know, can you see that, Kenyon? This seam and this seam, we're all lined up here, but this is kind of a quarter of the way through our goose. That's okay, because we're mixing and matching. These elements down the center are from our North Carolina star. These are from our 5-inch cube. They're different sizes.
Yes.
This is shape E from our North Carolina star. This is shape 5 right here, 4 and 5, and shape 5 again from our 5-inch cube. They're different sizes. It's okay. We're not supposed to line up right there. So take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay.
Okay, and I've run out of bobbin thread, which is why mine did.
Oh dear.
All right. All right, so I'm gonna finish doing this, and then we're gonna talk about our next block.
Right. And then you sew it together just as if it was a regular 9 patch, right?
Right. Pressing those seams open.
So now I can go ahead, sew these 2 together. And if my block is sewn together like I thought it was sewing together when I broke my thread, I'd be ready. Now, I have been back stitching on the outside of these blocks.
Yes, I
Because
have
we've
as
got
well.
a lot of blocks that we're making. And you know what? It is the worst feeling when you go to put your quilt together and your blocks are starting to unsew themselves.
Yes,
Isn't it?
it is.
It
Because
really-
they have to sit together for a minute. It's gonna take you longer than a day to sew all these blocks together.
Right.
And so I
I don't
tried
know, we
to,
have some pretty speedy sewers in our
I know.
quilters, but
but
we think it's gonna take you a hot minute, so.
Okay. All right. So now, what is happening here? Why is this happening? Oh, there.
I don't know, but that's your own machine, so
This
you
is
should
my
know
machine
how
from
to,
home.
how
This
that,
is my.
how that
Oh,
works.
here's why the presser foot wasn't up. This is my machine from home because I know where the 1/4 inch is. Oh, that's really important too, quilters. You really want to sew a 1/4 inch.
Yes. You know, and it's important to check that on a regular basis. Whenever you're starting a new project, different fabric and thread is gonna make a difference in your seam allowance.
Yeah.
And yes, somebody's bound to ask, but we both sew with the regular setting. I seem to be missing it. There it is. Ha, ha. Another unit that I thought was sewn together that wasn't.
See, there we go. I'm going to sew this last one and then we're going to move on.
We're gonna move on? Okay, well, I suppose I can put this together, finish putting it together on my own.
Right. But Broken Dish is a really classic block, really fun and easy to do. Okay, and I'm going to sew the other side. Don't forget, if you have just general questions, housekeeping questions, our team is here to answer them. And if you have specific questions, post them in the AQS Project Parade Facebook page. And Eric and I are going to be in there answering questions.
Ever so much.
You're just going to notice that it's just taken us a hot minute to sew these 4. We have 4 blocks to show you how to sew today.
Right.
So
And
we
we're
just want to be
kinda-
able to get
kinda
through
chain piecing, so,
some of them.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get through all of
We're
them.
gonna get through all of them. By gosh, we're gonna get through all of them. Pay attention to your placement. Again, this is my center. My ends I'll finish off,
Yep. And there, look, ta-da!
and we're gonna have that done. We're gonna be able to sew this block. Once this block is together, I'll sew it onto this side, sew this onto my top 2 rows, And it's going to look just like that one.
Yep.
All right, are we ready to move on, Miss Pam?
We are. So these were blocks
1 and 9.
Okay, so now I'm going to clip them all together and put them back in the Ziploc bag they came from. So that
lay
I
these
know.
very carefully together.
Oh,
I'm
my
going to do the
goodness.
same thing. You can see I've got block 1 and 9 written on my nice little
Yep.
bag here. I'm going to put it to the bottom of my pile because next up,
Is blocks 3 and 8.
and this is the flashing or the flying,
These are
flashing
pinwheels.
flashing windmills.
Yep, they're pinwheels. And this is the ultimate chain piecing because we're just going to make pinwheels. All right, so Erica, 3 and 8.
3 and 8.
So here's 3. This is creamsicle. That's how you know this quilt was made for summer. This color is called creamsicle. So this is super easy because we're just going to make pinwheel blocks.
Yep.
And then we're going to sew them to shape number 1. These are all made, again, from the 5-inch cube. Erica, talk about the center.
So the center, again, we've got those same 5 center block shapes. The 4 that are made with shape E, and that was on our North Carolina star block. Those are those quarter square units. They're all the same colors in the same direction on every block. And then we've got our spike units. Those are going to be shaped C and D, again from the North Carolina star block. The spike centers are going to be a different color in each one. So with our creamsicle, it's going to be marigold.
Marigold.
And with our baby blue, it's going to be bright blue. And you can see that one right here.
All right, so this is we're just going to sew some of the pieces together for this little pinwheel. And just show you how easy it is to do that pinwheel block. And we already have, I at least do, Erica, have my little square already cut. Again, quilters, you're going to want to look at the placement according to the pattern of how these go.
Yes.
Okay? Because they go in different
So there's my first
directions.
row. I've got my
And there are 2 different pinwheel colors.
This one goes over here.
Yep. Okay.
This one's going to go down here. My solid. I've got a spike left to sew.
Yep, I think
It's going to go over there.
like this.
I've got another square unit that's going to go right here. And I've got my pieces. So
Okay,
the first thing you know you're going to do is chain piece your bright colored half square triangles to your white ones.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is a great chain piecing project. That's what you're going to do to get yourself started on this.
And this starts on page 14. So kind of cool.
And again, I love my cubes so much because those dog ears are cut off for me. They're going to line up perfectly.
Yes.
I'm going to have to go back. When I'm done, I'm going to go back and press them, but I'm not going to have to go back and do any trimming. And when you're sewing all of these little half square triangles, you're really going to appreciate that extra little bit of time saving, quilters.
You are. And as we sew them together, again, notice the order because there are 2 different sets of the pinwheels. There's the fuchsia and red and marigold and yellow, and the ultraviolet, purple, turquoise, and Kelly green. Could you tell that we've been working on our colors for a while?
We have been.
We know the colors now, which is kind of fun.
But one of the reasons why we know them and kept track of them was putting those, going back to before we even started cutting, we took little snippets of our fabric and we taped them into our pattern.
Right, organization is key here because, as Eric and I have talked about, you don't want to have just stacks of fabric and go through pawing through them every time trying to find your pieces.
Right.
And you want to cut all of your pieces first. Now, Erica, when you press these, I'm going to press them towards the dark side.
I am
though it is
going
not
to,
May the 4th.
even though they are little, I'm going to do the exact same thing because that's going to let us nest
Yes.
those little pinwheel blocks and give us picture perfect points in the center. How's that for alliteration?
There you go.
Picture
And
perfect points.
we sprayed them with June Taylor Start Savvy.
Yes, if you
Before we
haven't
cut them.
tried that yet, quilters, it is fabulous stuff. So you just spray it on your fabric. You want to let it sit and kind of soak in for a minute and then press it dry. And it makes such a difference. It makes it really easy. If you're not somebody who likes to press along the way while you're making the little units to make up your blocks, that's a great way to go because that's going to help you get a nice crease without an iron.
Okay, here we go. So here's...
Are you way ahead of me?
Only because I sewed way ahead of you before
okay.
today. Okay. I have my other one right here in my sewing machine since I want a chain piece, now I can put these two pieces together, and because I've pressed to the dark side, they will nest. Someone asked me the other day what chain piecing was. And I realized that maybe that's a new term. Maybe you're new to quilting.
It might be for people.
Chain piecing means you're just going to sew pieces together without lifting your presser foot. And because every time you lift your presser foot, you have to bring out the thread and cut the thread and all the things. And so chain piecing lets you take pieces together and just create chains of fabric pieces. And it's a really efficient way to sew.
It really is. And it's this is why quilters call their sewing their therapy. Because it's your Zen moment, quilters. It's your happy place, okay?
It is. All right, now that I've sewn my half square triangles together.
Those are hot.
I'm going to press these sides in opposite directions. Is that right?
Yes.
It is.
Yes, Pam.
Opposite directions so that my pieces nest. And nesting means those two seams are going to go right together. I was home sewing over the weekend, and my husband isn't usually home when I'm sewing for work, but we have lots of things to talk about, Erica, here at this sew along. And anyway, I was talking about chain piecing and nesting, and he thought that was very efficient of quilters to do that.
Well, good. Is he ready to start quilting?
No, but he wanted to watch a movie that we hadn't seen, and I said, "Oh, contraire mon frère."
You can't watch a new movie while you're sewing because you can't focus. You just want sewing. For Pam and I, sewing movies or shows are background, and you need something you've seen before and don't have to focus on.
Yes. And then for the centers, I actually press mine open, Erica, but you do a little twist, don't you?
I do.
Okay. You could totally do that.
Okay. Oh, gosh, thanks, Pam.
Anytime. I just find it easier to press them open, but you just take out those top little stitches and twirl
I do. So I do that little open
that
up.
little twirl.
I do.
All right, so now.
So since mine are nested, I'll show you that when I get this sewn together.
Yep. Okay. There we go. All right, so here's my purple one that's already done, and here is my...
Okay, we're talking nesting. So this is why we nest, because we get those perfect points. And then when I flip it over, I can open that up, and it's going to press a little bit flatter for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to press those seams opposite directions. That's going to flatten it out for me. And this would be a great time to use a clapper. You know, we don't have our clappers out, but AccuQuilt does have branded clappers. They're solid maple. They're made here locally by a wonderful craftsman. And what that does with a clapper is you want to press your piece out and then set that clapper on top of it. And it is just magical how flat
Look,
it will
right
make
here
your
in the
blocks.
raccoon drawer.
And it is wonderful how those work.
I'm gonna just put it right there. It's gonna
really
keep
is.
everything flat.
Okay, so I'm gonna sew one of these, but then you're just gonna sew them to your number one. These are your number one or your big squares from your
Yep.
cube. And again, it's gonna be like a 4-patch. I'm gonna press those towards the solid square. So again, I'm gonna have an opportunity to nest and open up that center seam for a nice flat center.
All right.
And you're working ahead and I'm gonna let you.
Yep. So now I've sewn it to that shape number 1, and I've pressed towards that creamsicle shape number 1, and now I'm ready to sew this last unit together, and then we're gonna talk about our next block.
This is so fun. I love this block a lot. This is a
You
nice
are-
opportunity to work with some new blocks that maybe you haven't made before. If you're newer to your cube, working through those mix and match blocks is a great way to get comfortable with your cube
Yes.
and to really feel like the two of you are a quilting team.
Yes. Okay. All right. So while Erica sews her last one, I want to just talk about how to finish out your block. So you're going to want to look at the pattern on page 14, okay? And you're going to notice that, hold on, see now, this is why we practice. Okay, here we go. All right. Notice these corners are the same and these two corners are the same. Notice that we've put the center in the correct order, right? This is how it always is sewn together, that shape F. And then I could piece this bottom row together and sew it to my center row. And this is block number 3. Okay, its partner is block number 8.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Don't forget, if you have questions, just general questions, you can ask those here. If you have specific questions, then you can go to the AQS Project Parade Facebook page and put those in there, and Eric and I will get in there and answer them. Okay, quilters, we're going to get in there and answer them like once, twice a day, not every 15 minutes.
We're going to do our best.
We are, okay? And I'm going to
Okay.
pin these all up. You just finish doing what you need to do.
Okay. I'm going to sew this last little unit
Just
together.
sew the seam together.
And then I will pack my pieces up back into my little kit. You know, I like making kits. So
Yes.
one of the nice things about having my cutting system, I like to go ahead and cut a project out ahead of time and tuck it away in a kit so that if I've got 15 minutes to sew, I just can grab one of my kits. It's going to have my pieces that I need. They're going to be all together and ready to go. And then I can make the best of my time.
There you go.
All right, I'm picking up my pieces because we're going to go moving on.
All righty. All right, quilters, our next pair of blocks are 4 and 12. So Erica, I'm going to
Okay.
show them on the board, on the quilt.
All right.
And do you want to talk about it?
Yes.
Here
so,
is 4.
So these are called X blocks. We're going to call them units here. There's 4 that use the pale yellow for the background, and then a yellow, which is the bright yellow, for the center sections or those spikes. And then the other one has got, I think that's pale raspberry.
Yes.
And it has got the magenta, I think.
The magenta.
The magenta, I think, for the spikes.
Right.
So this one is going to start, we're going to turn the page here.
Well,
This is going to be on page 15 of your pattern.
And this might look like a Y seam, Erica, but talk about it.
It really isn't. It's all going to be put together with half square triangles. So again, there's a specific order to lay out and sew your box, and we want to show you how. Now keep in mind, it does look like it needs those Y seams, but we are just working with all squares and half square triangles, and so we are not going to have to do that. So let me pull mine
Erica has
out.
her yellow one out, and this is fuchsia.
Fuchsia, thank you.
Fuchsia is the background. And again, notice how we're keeping everything so organized because we want to do that.
So, and then yellow is the spike on the one, and the other one is the raspberry or magenta.
Right.
So this one, and I'm going to turn this one so that we're laid out the same.
Yes. Okay.
And it looks, isn't it interesting how different the two blocks look with ours, with the different colors? I just find that fascinating.
Yes.
We talk about the difference color makes all the time, but it's very evident in this one.
Right.
Now, you're going to know you've got yours right because you're going to see when you lay out your units, you're going to have your what's called Essex linen rainbow sparkle. For us, it's this chartreuse to a pink print. And that's, you're going to have those 4 in the corners. We've got our spikes started here, so I'm going to rearrange my pieces here so I'm all laid out.
Okay.
Because I already started some of this
Right.
so that we could get to getting here, right, Pam?
Get to getting. I liking that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So just like Erica, I've already laid out some of my pieces. I've sewn this little row together for my unit. And now
Move these
it's
a little
just
bit.
going to need this corner. And it's funny, Erica, when we lay this one out, it looks so big because
It
there's so
does.
many
There's
half
so
square
many
triangles.
half square triangles, yep.
Yep. But
right.
in reality, they are not.
They are not.
They're just going to sew together. All right. So this one, boy, howdy.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure you're laying out
You
your
want
pieces.
your pieces out correctly. I'm going to
Right.
have to move that again. Seam allowances, people, it makes a difference
Yeah.
in there.
I'm going to move this over so I
So,
have all the pieces. Okay. So you're going to think right here in the center, this is a flying geese unit, but actually they're just half square triangles. Okay.
yes. So when you start to sew your half squares together, keep in mind it works so that you kind of have, like for each set, I kind of thought of mine as sets. So where's my red here? There's the red. And this is the, so this, each corner of this unit kind of has its own little color, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
And-
you can see here, I've got a square, and I've got a yellow and a pink, a green and a pink, and then the green and the yellow.
Right.
So for every color, you're going to have one of each color sewn to the background, and then one of those two colors together.
Right. And you want them to look like they are parallelograms.
Right.
When they're sewn into the block. That's why you think it's a Y seam and it's not.
Correct.
And then I had kind of a fun little trick here, Erica.
Oh dear, I'm missing squares, I think.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Well, just as long as we're not breaking threads like we have been all
Well,
morning.
I'm going to sew these rows, these little 4 patches together. And I'm going to sew them together. I didn't sew them together in rows of 4 pieces. I sewed them into little 4 patches.
I sewed them into little 4 patches too. But when I was when I was pressing, I made sure that I pressed in opposite directions so my little pieces would nest.
Love that.
Yeah. So right here, this is the one that goes next to it. So this has the seam is pressed to the pink. So now I'm going to press the seam to the green. So when I'm sewing my rows together, when I fold them over, they're gonna nest. And whatever is gonna work for you.
Right.
Erica and I sewed this, and pressed this completely different for the same shapes. But it's just whatever is gonna work for you. Don't forget, quilters, this is a marathon, not a race, though we are loving seeing your pictures
Yes.
on our AQS project.
Yep. We
quilting
are
project
not
page.
expecting people to get done way ahead of time,
No, it's not like some of our others.
where you all have gotten done sewing them before Pam and I have even gotten started. So,
Right.
But that's okay too.
Right. Yeah, you just want to. Okay. You just want to take your time and do it right. There are lots of pieces, and it's a beautiful project.
It is.
You just want to make sure you're doing it right.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Chain piecing. I love it.
Just finding those pieces.
Yep, just take it unit by unit. Don't let yourself
Yeah.
get overwhelmed with this one. And that's again why when we did our show on cutting and organizing, we talked about putting those together like they were little kits. And I think that is really helpful for this project,
I think so.
especially this block. I don't know why, but this block gets a little bit turned around in my head.
Oh, see, now look, did I sew this wrong? Hold on. I did not. I'm doing the last row. Here we go.
Here we go. This one's going to go there. It's going to go here.
Here we go. It's like, wait, this is wrong, but it is wrong. What did I do here, Erica?
I don't know.
Okay, oh, here, this is right. Goodness sakes. Okay. So now you can see how I've sewn that little 4 patch. So I'm going to press them in opposite directions so those little 4 patches nest. And again, take your time.
I used to get really frustrated because my points wouldn't be perfect until I learned about nesting my seams. And then it was a whole nother discussion.
Ta-da, right?
Absolutely.
And I think this is the one that when I saw the block, Erica, I thought, oh, wait. And I think this is the block that has the most pieces from the cube.
Do you?
I think so. But I do like the fact that, you're just making the same blocks. There's a match somewhere, there's a mate somewhere else in the quilt. So just continue making the same blocks.
Just keep making them and they're going to find their way.
Yep. Okay. And pressing is really important, quilters. Get those nice, good presses so you get those good points. Boy, you're like gunning it over there.
Well, you're so far ahead of me. I just hate that.
Well, it's just because I tried to.
Well, I tried to be very organized with this too, but
Yes.
somehow you ended up a little ahead of me.
Well,
I think Quilter, she sewed more ahead of time than she told me she was going to. But
Oh.
that may be just me.
it's true. It's true. Listen, I think Erica and I have talked more about this quilt-along
Than any other project we've ever made, ever.
And it's great because she and I are making the same colorway, which we never do. So it's really fun to say, okay, I'm in block whatever, and this is my colorway, and Erica's in the same place. It's kind of fun. Okay, so look how we're building this, quilters. We're building it in 4 patches. And then I'm gonna press it this direction.
Press this one.
Now, if you have general questions about what we're doing, be sure and ask in the comment section. We do have our team
Yep,
helping
they're
us
going to
today.
moderate for us today and answer those general questions. Real specific questions, go ahead, put those in the AQS Quilting Project Parade Facebook group. We're going to get in there and get those answered there for you, but we've got so much ground to cover today. We're
Right.
afraid we might get a little bogged down, just a little. Okay, well, least I can do is get these pressed out.
Okay.
And then remember, we're building these, all these blocks are going together as 4 units that are tied together with that internal sashing that we're making with our friend, the North Carolina Star Block. So
Yep.
it's really fun how this is all going to come together. And it's a great example of how you can really, you want to work with those bob die pieces and see what all they can do. They're a great value for you. They're going to do a lot more than just make that one block.
Right. So you'll notice, quilters, how you put it together, the colorway is important. So here's this orange block. So it's going to be on the outside here, and we're going to turn it, and it's going to be here, and we're going to turn it, it's going to be here, and we're going to turn it again. Kind of cool how it all works. Laura did a great job with that.
She did.
Then to finish off my block, I'm going to sew these 2 units to my center spiky point. And again, remember, the center's the same and the order is important.
Right.
We learned that.
We did learn that. We've learned so much.
We have
I hope
learned
you
a
guys are
lot.
learning alongside of us because we feel like we've learned a lot making this project.
We
I feel
have.
like Laura's taken us by the hand and really taught us a lot.
Oh, yeah, and just said, okay, here's what we're doing, team. So, and I love the fact that she provided us with those extra documents, and then you went through and found what color we needed for each block, which was super helpful.
Right.
Erica did lots of hard lifting. She did for this block, way more than I did.
This is a great
Okay,
project.
you just finish over there, and I'm going to put this away for a minute because we're going to talk about our last.
Our last block. Okay, I'm going to put mine away so that I can finish it up.
Do you want to show everybody
I'm
what you
missing
did?
pieces. I'm missing pieces.
Oh, are you missing an
I am. I was
essence?
missing 2 of my shape 2 small squares for this other unit. So I'm not going to get it put together, but it's going to go together and look really, really pretty.
Yep, and
I'm
when Erica
excited
talks
about it.
about putting it together like in a little kit, or this is like my little sandwich bag that I use, I put a little 5x7 card in there so I could write what I needed and how to sew it together on camera for you guys.
And all I did was write 4 and 12 on my Ziploc bag.
There we go.
All right, so the next one is going to be our Go Spinner units. Now
Yes.
this section, this is going to be, oh gosh, what numbers are they?
Block 5 and 10, I think, right?
Okay, so here's our spinner block.
Right here.
And I can tell right now I've got a piece out of order, so we will turn it this way.
There we go.
So, right there, and this block is just a little different. It's going to be block 5, and then again it shows up
Down here.
down there as block
10. But there are 2 different colorways
Yes.
for the blocks, right, Erica?
Yes.
So this one has this blue and red and orange and green. This has purple, red, yellow, and turquoise.
So when you look in the pattern, and this is going to be on page 15, you're going to see the 2 different layouts. You're going to make 2 units to match each one of these.
Yes.
And don't look over here because I've got to take this apart and turn that
Oh,
one block.
see?
And I
That's
think
why
it may be the second time I've done that with that piece.
That's why.
I'm just saying,
And
I think
found
it
that
may be
this
the second
was
one.
actually the easiest of all the blocks. So I was
Well, I
glad
thought
to-
it was at the time, but
I'm glad that's why we finished it. So, all right. So here's my top half. And again, quilters, don't be stressed because I called Erica. I was like, these are not lining up.
they're not
And they're
lining up.
not meant to.
No.
Okay. This is a really easy block. It has the large half square triangle, shape number 3, the small half square triangle, another small lavender half square triangle, and this is shape number 2, our small square. So I found it was really easy to sew the lavender pieces together first, right? And then I press towards that half square triangle, and then it's easy to add that other half square triangle. So I have some samples. I knew you would ask. Okay.
Okay.
So here we go.
And then I want to talk cube math for just a minute when you do that.
Okay, talk cube math.
Okay, so you're going to look and at the core, each one of these little units inside here is a large half square triangle from our cube. That's going to be shape number 3. And the other half could be made with a chisel, right?
It could.
If you had the companion corners, but it's actually the same half-size half square triangle that you get when you put together a small square and 2 of the small half square triangles. It's going to equal the same size as that big one. And I just thought that that is a great unit. This is a really great unit. It's a great lesson. And you get a totally different look however you arrange your fabric.
Right.
Think how different this block would be if I substituted another red one over here. It would change up the whole look of the quilt.
Right.
So there's a lot you can do with this basic formula, if you will. This is just kind of a formula.
And I don't think we've talked about this yet, Erica, but there are 7 sizes of cubes.
Yes.
And all the shapes are the same in every cube. They're just different sizes. So we're using our 5-inch mix and match cube because those are the units that work with the 10-inch North Carolina star die. All right, so I am now going to do, I only have one little piece left. Sorry, Erica. I got a little ahead last night.
Just when I think I'm gonna be caught up with her and she's sewn even more quilters.
In my
doing
defense,
me in.
Erica started long before I did, and I had to hustle to start making our samples for you.
Now, we've talked about pressing these seams open earlier. It really does make a difference. I'm going to go ahead. You could press, but this one, you could press it open or you could press it just towards the red.
I pressed it towards, the purple, towards the quarter square triangle or the half square triangle. Yep.
And look how well, even your dog ears are going to line up perfectly when you do that.
Yeah.
So it really does make something that is exactly the same size.
Right.
And it's a great building block. You know, really, that's what our cubes are. They're building blocks for quilts.
Oh, they are. They are. And they're meant to work together. You could make blocks out of the 10-inch cube that match the 5-inch cube. So now we've sewn that little smaller section together, and look, now I can come and sew it to my big half square triangle, and it's going to be the same. I love it when it's the same.
I'm building my last spike here.
Oh, are you? Good job.
Yeah, so I can put so I can keep chain piecing.
Right. Well, and remember, those center spikes are the same in every one of the 12 blocks, except the colors are changing.
Right. I was so excited when we got to these blocks because this gave us a chance to get out the marigold color. We hadn't used the marigold color.
Yes, we hadn't used it yet.
And I didn't think there was a lot with the marigold color, but there really was.
Which brings out a really good point. When you're cutting your fabric, you're going to use more of some fabric colors than others. And I called Erica and I said, Erica, I'm almost out of red. And I had lots of like other blues and greens and stuff. And she said, so am I. And I said, oh, good, then we're cutting it right. Okay, so now since I've pressed these to the outside triangle, I can lay them together. And they're going to nest those seams. So just keep in mind, you'll have plenty of fabric if you follow the fabric requirements. But you're also, some of it you're going to use a little bit. So Erica, we know a secret about this quilt that Laura told us.
She did tell us the secret about this quilt. Do you want to share? Are you going to share?
I am.
Okay, go for it.
So we were on a call not too long ago, and we were talking about the Quilt-Along. And we were talking about this pattern and how much we love it and all these colors and stuff. And one of our team members, I think it was Lauren, said, well, you know, Laura Strickland made this other Christmas quilt called Christmas in the Pines or something. If you go to the
Yes.
AccuQuilt website, you can find it. And it's the same dye. It's the same North Carolina star dye, right?
Yes.
And she uses a variety of scraps of green. And then there are ornaments and candles and stuff on it.
It's a very creative
Pretty.
pattern. And the more we looked at that, the more we recognized colors from this project.
Yes. So I downloaded the pattern, and indeed, you're going to find marigold and pale lime and yellow and fuchsia. So I reached out to Laura and I said, hey, we were just doing this. Did you do that on purpose? And she said yes. So she actually wrote the pattern for this quilt first and then used those scraps for the Christmas in the Pines. Okay, so now look, my little block is almost done.
Yep.
So I pressed one direction seam and the other direction seam, and I'm going to sew that
Going to go
seam together.
this way, right
So
here.
I think, Erica, when I'm done doing this, because I do love the North Carolina star dye. I mean, the shapes
I
are
do
just
too.
so
The
pretty.
shapes are so great. It's laid out so well. It's
Yeah.
such a fun dye to work with. You're going to make that tree, aren't you?
I am going to make that tree.
Well, I feel like we have all the fabric. We could just.
I feel like aside from the red, which I'll probably have to go get more of because I got it from our local quilt shop, I think I have plenty of scraps for it.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
I bet you do. So I've got my
Look at
top
this.
2 rows sewn together. And now I'm going to sew one of these on either side of my spike.
Yep.
And then it is ready to go together. And that one will be 100% done. And those are our blocks for today, right, Pam?
Those are all of the blocks that we've done. So once you've sewn all of these blocks, follow this. Again, this is recorded so you can go back and watch sections if you're not sure how to lay out your pieces. But once all of your 12 blocks are done, then you will be ready for next week's show.
That's right.
All right, so Erica, let's talk about the blog. Be sure to check out the AccuQuilt blog because the lovely Erica has a post each Wednesday during the Quilt-Along over the details from the day's events.
Now, AQS is also going to be updating their original blog post, so you can check that one out as well.
All right, quilters, before we end part 3 of our AccuQuilt, AQS AccuQuilt-Along for the Go Carolina In My Mind quilt, we want to announce the winner of today's giveaway.
Yes, we do. The lucky winner of $100 in AccuQuilt reward point is, drum roll please, it's Catherine W. of Montgomery, Alabama. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Quilters, don't forget we have plenty of special offers available if you are on our website, including the August Die to Try, which is?
That's right. It's the Go Lighthouse. It's so adorable. And
Okay.
we've got some great embroidery available to go along with it. You'll want to be sure and check it out. Now, if you're ready to get an order in, be sure you open a new tab in your browser, type in AccuQuilt.com/party. You can see the current deals, you can place an order, and you can get the Go Lighthouse die. You can get any of these products. Now that Go Lighthouse die, remember, it's only available while supplies last.
Just a few more days.
And it's only available from us or your local AccuQuilt retailer. And if you haven't gotten one yet for your Go Big, pick up a die catcher while you're at it.
There you go. It's time for us to get ready for our next show. We hope today's show was just what you needed to inspire you to finish your blocks for the Go Carolina In My Mind quilt.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for watching. To learn more about your quilting craft, be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for live events every Tuesday and Wednesday. You can check out the events page on the AccuQuilt website for more details on upcoming shows. And if you're looking for even more inspiration, visit our blog for exclusive tutorials filled with tips and tricks. And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more. Be sure to join me every Wednesday at 12 noon Central Time for AccuQuilt Live. We have tons of fun. Next time, Eric and I are showing you how to put your quilt top together and talking about sashing and borders. Hope to see you there.